Sign up for free Stratfor Intelligence. Simply enter your email address to receive free reports each week.
Hello, I'm Scott Stewart, and I'm here with my longtime colleague and good friend, Fred Burton, and we wanted to take some time to talk about active shooter scenarios. You know, Fred, we see a lot of active shooter scenarios going on. I mean, it's something that we've seen in relation to terrorism. As you know, you and I have been talking about for years, we've had this de-evolution of the terrorist threat from one based on these professional terrorist operatives to one based on the grassroots terrorism operatives. But also we see, these active shooters from other sources, right?
Absolutely. I mean, not only do you have a terrorism kind of phenomena that we have seen historically, not only with our careers with the State Department, but here at Stratfor, but you also have active shooters that come out of the mentally disturbed ranks, the disgruntled workforce. And it's one of the primary questions that we get here at Stratfor with a range of different subscribers and our corporate clients as to indicators of not only what to look for, but how to react to an active shooter in any kind of environment.
Yeah, and reaction is important. I mean, I think it's important for people to realize that the police aren't always going to be there when something happens. It's going to take time. And, you know, a lot of the victims of these shootings are dead really before the cops can get there, especially in some place, you know, like Kenya, as opposed to Minneapolis or someplace.
In breaking down the videotape, which you did a wonderful job on this week, that's on our website, I think one of the more interesting phenomena is when you look at the reaction of some of the victims. In essence, you see a lot of people that freeze in place. They clearly were stuck on the X, did not know what to do, whether it was a psychological reaction of just the explosions or the fail to recognize exactly what was taking place. Many people, in essence, were stuck like deer in the headlights and either trying to hide behind flimsy desks or walls, which the terrorists could literally shoot through. So I think one of the more important aspects that you've written extensively about on the website is the ability to understand what is taking place with a high degree of situational awareness and not paranoid to the aspect that freezes you, but just a heightened awareness, and then always think of a plan, always think of your exits, and have in your mind, what are you going to do, God forbid, if one of these events start to unfold in front of you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just the situational awareness, being aware of what's around you, looking for potential safe havens, looking for the exits. I mean, even in a workplace scenario, a lot of people don't know where the emergency exits are out of their building. And it's even more pronounced, if you're overseas in a mall or, a hotel or someplace like that. People really need to pay attention to those things. And like you said, it doesn't mean being paranoid or always looking for a terrorist behind every bush, but just making mental notes as you go along. Okay, there's the exit there if something happens. I think another thing that's critical is just having the mindset of these things happen. You know, there are evil people in the world. There are crazy people in the world that want to kill, that want to hurt people. And if you have that attitude and you have the right type of situational awareness, then when something happens, you don't go into denial. It allows you to recognize it. In many cases, and this was also in Westgate, I saw some of the interviews of some of the survivors. People were denying that the shots had been fired. And when they deny it, they just sit there and freeze or don't react. And that really prevents it. So you need to have that, what we used to call attack recognition. And to be able to recognize the attack, you need to have that right mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look in today's society, whether you're in the United States or overseas, I would venture to guess that most people don't go into a public space, whether it be a mall or a hotel, and first look towards potential cover versus concealment kinds of locations, as well as exits, or where am I going to go in the event of a active shooter in the workplace or in this kind of public space. It's one of the first things that I do when I check into a hotel, not only from a fire hazard perspective, but trying to identify my emergency exits. And I run through in my mind, if an event starts to unfold, what am I going to do? Therefore, when you recognize that, and it could be the first gunshot, it could be the first grenade explosion, or some sort of loud noise, you have in your mindset that you know what to do, to get yourself out of harm's way. And I think one of the important variables here that you and I were discussing in the office earlier is that distance factor, meaning move away from the threat as fast and as far as you can, as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things, people need to realize that most of these criminals and militants really don't shoot well. Which is a good thing. And so the more distance, we have an acronym that we've used, with the movement, distance, angle, cover, and concealment. But the more, movement you can do, the more distance you put between yourself and that shooter. And the angle, if you're running dead away, you're easier to hit. But if you run an angle, they've got to move and, sweep the gun. It's harder for them to hit. And, most fatal shootings, and we saw this again in the Kenya situation, the guys were walking right up to these people prone on the floor and just shooting them at 3 feet. And so it's much more difficult to hit a target if they're moving at 30 feet or 300 feet than if they're laying prone at 3 feet. So even in cases like the Colorado theater shooting, most of those people were shot at blank range, point blank range. So that more distance you can put, the better. And that comes from reacting.
It does. It also comes with that situational mindset, which we write about extensively here at Stratfor, meaning if you go over and you think in context and look back at the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting, there was something unusual with the shooter going out the exit in a dark theater setting. That should have been a mental clue to the point that something's not right with this picture. Mm-hmm. But the mindset, again, is one that you're not thinking that this could be some sort of active shooter scenario. And I always want to look at these kinds of events and think, what would have happened if someone had stood up and either followed the shooter out or stood up and left or grabbed their loved ones or significant other or whoever they're with to try to exit out of that theater and literally live to see another movie.
Yeah.
Chances are that nothing would have happened, perhaps, but you really never know. So again, I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of the situational awareness and recognizing these events can unfold pretty much anywhere.
Absolutely. And there were a lot of people have made fun of the DHS movie, the Run, Hide, Fight thing. But really, that gives you an easy, it's kind of like stop, drop, and roll. But at least it gives you something to roll. I mean, obviously, we want people to get away, to run. But if you can't, if you're trapped, if you find yourself in a situation, then you need to hide. And you need to pay a lot of attention to the difference between cover and concealment. I mean, just because you're hidden doesn't mean they can't shoot through things to get you. And most of these buildings today, with this drywall construction, just don't provide any cover. So, even if you're inside a room, if you can lock a door, if you can put heavy things in front of the door, you still want to try to find additional cover behind desks or file cabinets, things like that. So those things are important. Of course, you also have that fight aspect when you're in that situation. I mean, you have to get absolutely savage and protect yourself and survive. Do what you need to do to keep yourself alive and your family.
Very well said.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being with us in this video. We have a lot more information on our website at stratfor.com pertaining to personal security and keeping yourself, your family, and your home safe.